La parole au distingué observateur de l'Institut international pour la démocratie et l'assistance électorale.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, International IDEA fully supports the efforts of the Special Envoy on Myanmar, the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, and the head of the IAM in advancing steps towards resolving the crisis in the country, which was triggered by the military's unconstitutional coup in February 2021 and has been exacerbated by the junta's serious human rights violations, its continued illegal extensions of the state of emergency, and illegitimate claim to rule by force. International IDEA welcomes the recent UN resolutions and reports which highlights the increasingly grave human rights situation and violations experienced by the Rohingya and other minorities in Myanmar. These resolutions also reaffirm the urgent need to respect the will of Myanmar's people as expressed in the 2020 elections, restore inclusive democratic governance, and protect the rights of all people in Myanmar, especially the most vulnerable. In 2024, the dire situation of the Rohingya in Myanmar continues to worsen, remaining one of the most pressing human rights crises of our time. As we have highlighted in previous meetings, 4 years after the coup, the restoration of democracy in Myanmar, including respect for the results of the 2020 general elections, is critical to creating an environment where human rights, equality, and inclusion can be restored. Any future democratic elections in Myanmar should only be held when the conditions to hold genuine, free, and fair elections exist, which also allow the full inclusion of the Rohingya and other minority groups. Furthermore, elections organized by the military junta cannot be considered legitimate and should not be supported by the international community. In the Federal Democracy Charter, Myanmar's legitimate national unity institutions have committed to forming a genuine democratic federal system firmly based on commitments of human rights, the rule of law, and non-discrimination, including the protection of all people and the reintegration of the Rohingya. Their efforts and those of the Rohingya community to forge a broad consensus among diverse pro-democracy stakeholders and translate these commitments to action deserve and require increased support of the international community. In this regard, we would also like to continue to commend the efforts of Myanmar's permanent representative to the United Nations, His Excellency Ambassador Jamotung, for his support to the country and for returning.
Je remercie le distingué observateur de l'Institut international pour la démocratie et l'assistance électorale. Je vais maintenant donner la parole